Good afternoon and welcome to Covfeed Politics. With Sir Keir Starmer about to undertake what could be the most important foreign trip of his career in meeting Donald Trump, we'll be discussing how the Commons reacted to his defence spending announcement. We'll also analyse Kemi Badenoch's performance as leader of the opposition and changes to knife crime legislation. So first, we have Corey to discuss the defence budget. So, Corey, what was established this week?
Thanks, Joe. Earlier this week, the government announced that it will be cranking up its defence spending, a move that has garnered cross-party support in the PMQs today, but not without scrutiny. Kemi Badenoch grilled Keir Starmer about the specifics of the planned increase, calling for clarity over the figures amid confusion after the Defence Secretary corrected Starmer's initial figure this morning.
Look, if you take the numbers for this financial year and then the numbers for the financial year 27-28, that's £13.4 billion increase. That is the largest sustained increase in defence spending since the Cold War, which will put us in a position to ensure the security and defence of our country and of Europe.
So, there was lots of foreign policy discussion today. What was established?
Absolutely, foreign policy was firmly on the agenda, particularly ahead of Starmer's flight to the US to meet with President Trump. With a reiteration of the government's commitment to Ukraine and an acknowledgement of the recent rising tensions between the US and Ukraine, which are sure to be a sticking point in discussions with Donald Trump.
Starmer has bipartisan support of the House of Commons on his loyalty to Ukraine, but he's also faced criticism within Parliament about these policies. What has Starmer been criticised for?
Of course, support for our Ukrainian allies is popular amongst members of Parliament, but not all MPs are in support of all recent foreign policy, with Starmer facing criticism from his own backbenchers on his slashing of foreign aid spending. Diane Abbott, a now frequent challenger of the Prime Minister, argued that the cutting of the aid budget in favour of defence spending makes people less safe, not more, highlighting a divide in the Labour Party in where foreign policy priorities lie.
Two weeks ago, leader of the opposition, Kemi Badenoch, was criticised for her weak performance during the PMQs, where she seemed to lose her way. So, did she fare any better today? Joining me again is Corey. So, Corey, how was Kemi Badenoch's performance today?
Well, leader of the opposition, Kemi Badenoch, appeared to put in a confidence performance compared to 2 weeks ago, facing PM Keir Starmer.
Can you tell us how that went?
Well, this was her first appearance in 2 weeks, as well as a recess last week. The Conservative leader grilled Sir Keir on his plans to increase the defence spending, and the two became entangled again in a fraught debate over defence spending. According to the Institute for Fiscal Studies, the PM's calculations do leave room for questions on his accounting.
Does he agree that we should legislate even if lawyers warn that this might be incompatible with human rights law?
She complains about scripted answers and questions. Her script doesn't allow her to listen to the answer.
Prime Minister.
She asked me if we're going to change the law and close the loophole in question 1. I said yes. She asked me again in question 2, and I said yes. She asked me again in question 3. It's still yes.
Mr. Speaker, he didn't listen to question 1. I asked if he would appeal the decision. He did not answer that.
Kemi Badenoch jibed at the PM, suggesting that his plans to cut the foreign aid budget in order to redirect funds to defence spending were in fact her idea. This he rebuked, saying that he was not listening to any comments she made on the subject.
Now, Ms Badenoch has come under increased scrutiny from both public and party after her previous performance at PMQs, hasn't she?
Yes, 2 weeks ago she put in a somewhat lacklustre performance when she questioned the government's policy on migration and support of the European Convention of Human Rights.
Knife crime was another key point discussed within today's PMQs. Here with us we have Matthew Roach, our reporter, So Matthew, who raised the issue and what points were made?
Well, hi Joe. Knife crime is currently a huge issue in this country and has been for a while. This was highlighted just 2 days ago in Bournemouth after the horrific double stabbing. Jessica Toll, Labour MP, raised the question to the Prime Minister.
On Monday night, there was a brutal double stabbing in my constituency. This adds to a long line of horrific knife attacks that have included 3 fatalities over the past 2 years. I know the Prime Minister is aware of the particular challenges we face in Bournemouth, and while crime has been going down, I know there is much more he will want to do. So will he join me in praising the crucial work that organisations like Changes Are Made, who give positive activities like boxing to young people, and will he share what more the government can do to tackle knife crime in communities like mine?
New legislation to become tougher on knife crime follows the former Tory government putting harder penalties on being caught with zombie knives and machetes.
Yesterday,
The crime and policing bill that was introduced this week has toughened laws on buying knives online and given the police power to seize knives, bladed articles that are on private property without warrants. The Prime Minister explained what his party will be doing in the future to help tackle knife crime.
Yesterday we introduced our crime and policing bill. Harm. Plus, Mr. Speaker, tougher penalties for selling dangerous weapons to under 18s, stricter rules for online sales under Ronan's law, and we'll continue with that work.
Yeah, of course, it's important that more is done to keep the streets safe, particularly for young people. Now, Ronan's law was briefly touched upon. Could you elaborate why the law was brought in and what it's about?
Well, Ronan Kandel was tragically murdered in a mistaken identity case in 2022. His murderers, also teenagers, collected the knives they purchased the day before with no ID. Since this horrific event, Ronan's mother and charities alike have been pushing for the new Ronan's law to be introduced. This law means tougher laws for businesses caught selling knives to under 18s, going from 6 months to 2 years sentences. As well as this, companies must now report suspicious activity. So anyone buying multiple knives online or anyone under the age of 18 buying knives online will be flagged up.
And finally, how will these laws affect people within the West Midlands?
Wow, the West Midlands knife crime fell 6% last year. This comes after 2023 were actually the highest in our constituency. Now only second to London. This comes after London's gone up and we have gone down. This is fantastic news for families of the victims of knife attacks. And most recently, Leo Ross was only 12 years old when he was murdered in Birmingham last month. And there's still currently another teenager awaiting trial for this case.
Thanks, Matthew. That's all from us today. We'll be back next week with more Covfeed Politics. I've been your host, Joe Cooney. Thank you for watching and goodbye.